2025 is going to be one hell of a year for movie fans. This year, we're getting some of the most anticipated movies of all time with the Marvels, Thunderbolts, Blade, and Deadpool 3. But not only will these four films change everything in the MCU, but they'll also kick off a brand new era. And today, I want to explain exactly what that means. So let's start with a look at the last 10 years of the MCU. After the success of Iron Man, the MCU quickly became the biggest movie franchise of all time. Avengers Endgame was the highest-grossing film ever made, surpassing Avatar. For a while, it seemed like Marvel Studios couldn't do any wrong. But then things started to change. People began to get bored of the repetitive storytelling and endless cameos. The general consensus was that the MCU was in desperate need of a shakeup. After the release of Black Widow, which had its fair share of problems, Marvel decided to listen to this feedback. Kevin Feige stated that the next saga would be different and announced that we were entering the era of mutants. The multiverse was fully embraced with the introduction of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And there are even rumors of Fantastic Four being the next big thing. It seems like Marvel is listening to what the fans want, and by 2025, these changes will become even more apparent. In fact, I believe that the movies released in 2025 will change Marvel forever. The first film to kick off this change is the MCU debut of the X-Men. For those who don't know, Disney acquired 20th Century Fox back in 2019, gaining the film rights to some of the most popular characters of all time. Since then, we've seen a number of X-Men-related Easter eggs in other MCU projects, but now it's finally time to meet the mutants. While we don't know too much about the plot, we do know that the core team will consist of Professor X, Magneto, Beast, Storm, Nightcrawler, Mystique, Rogue, and Sabretooth. This is also rumored to be the first MCU project set in the past, specifically the late 1960s. If true, this could open up the possibility of introducing characters such as Nick Fury or even the original Captain America. Although I personally believe that these characters will remain in the modern day, the biggest addition to the MCU, however, will undoubtedly be the mutants themselves. This isn't just another team of superheroes. These characters have a completely different origin story. They were born with their powers, not enhanced or given superpowers. By introducing these characters, the MCU will change from a narrative standpoint because some of these characters possess immense power. We haven't really seen anything like this before. Now, of course, I think that this team will live up to the hype. But if you want to hear my thoughts on why I think that is, make sure you check out my video on 5 reasons that the X-Men will surpass the Avengers. Following the release of the X-Men, we'll be treated to another highly anticipated project, Thunderbolts. While the MCU has no shortage of heroes, it lacks one very important element: morally gray characters. Most of our heroes are either perfect or have very little screen time. The Thunderbolts aim to fix this, as the entire premise is based around anti-heroes. The team consists of characters who can't quite fit into the traditional hero category, including people who used to be villains. It's almost like a Suicide Squad type vibe. But instead of being assembled by a government organization, the team is put together by the Contessa. In terms of the plot, I think that we'll see the team undertake missions that are too dangerous for the typical Avengers lineup. Think of it like a special ops team that can handle situations that normal heroes are unable to. It's safe to say that we'll be seeing some familiar faces, as both Yelena Belova and Bucky Barnes are rumored to join the team. But I think that there's a chance that this film introduces us to a brand new character who could go on to become a major player in the MCU, someone like Cassandra Lang. She was an underrated character in Ant-Man and the Wasp, but I think that she could be taken in a darker direction. Her character is a natural choice for the Thunderbolts and could lead to some very interesting character development. Ultimately, I believe that the Thunderbolts will be one of the most fun MCU projects yet. Just like the comics, the characters will likely break the fourth wall from time to time, making jokes and having conversations with the audience. As we approach the end of 2025, we'll witness 2 films that could very well shape the future of the MCU, Blade and Deadpool 3. Let's start with Blade. When the film was announced, many fans were excited to see a new horror-themed character in the MCU. But the excitement quickly turned into confusion when it was revealed that Aaron Pierre would play the role of Blade. To say that he's relatively unknown would be an understatement. On top of this, the star of the original Blade films, Wesley Snipes, expressed his disappointment over not being involved in the project. As a result, a lot of people began to call the project a failure before it even began production. However, I think that these people are underestimating Marvel once again. Not only is Blade a pivotal character for the MCU, but he could also serve as a gateway for even bigger plans. Remember what I said about Marvel embracing the supernatural? Well, Blade is one step in that direction. The vampire hunter is known for interacting with all sorts of mystical beings, including werewolves and demons. Not only that, but he also has ties to some of the most powerful figures in the comics, Doctor Doom. In fact, I have a theory about Blade and Doctor Doom that I'll link down below if you're interested. Basically, I think that this character could be the MCU's first big bad. And when you consider the upcoming Fantastic Four reboot, it makes sense to introduce him through Blade. In terms of casting, I personally believe that Aaron Pierre will exceed everyone's expectations. Sure, he may not be a household name just yet, but that doesn't mean he's not talented. Marvel has a great track record of taking relatively unknown actors and turning them into stars. Think of Tom Holland, Florence Pugh, or even Jeremy Renner. With such a strong supporting cast, I think that Blade will definitely live up to the hype. And then there's Deadpool 3. If you're a fan of Deadpool, then you already know how insane it is to have Ryan Reynolds return to the role. After the merger between Fox and Disney, there were rumors that Reynolds would retire from the role. But luckily, we'll be seeing him team up with the MCU for the third time. The first two Deadpool films broke the mold for superhero movies. They subverted audience expectations and gave us something completely unique. I personally believe that these films shouldn't be classified as superhero movies. Instead, I'd argue that they're comedies that just happen to have superpowers involved. And speaking of subverting expectations, the third film is rumored to be set in the MCU with Hugh Hefner returning to play Wolverine. At first, this seemed like a far-fetched idea, but then we saw Patrick Stewart return in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So it's not impossible. I think that this will be the final Wolverine film, as Hugh Hefner has expressed interest in retiring from the role. And if this is his final outing, then it needs to be done right. If I had to guess, I think that the movie will take place in the main MCU timeline. So, this wouldn't technically be the same Wolverine that we saw in the previous films. I think that this movie will be a blend of the two universes, allowing Wade to retain his meta-humorous style while still interacting with established MCU characters. The possibilities are really endless here. Personally, I'm hoping for a crossover with the Fantastic Four, as the X-Men will likely be needed to handle this alternate universe Wolverine. With all of this considered, I think that 2025 will be a huge year for the MCU and a defining moment in the history of cinema. Think about it. Marvel will have introduced some of the most iconic characters of all time, including mutants, vampires, and possibly even Doctor Doom. It's clear that Marvel is willing to take risks and branch out into uncharted territory, and I believe that this will pay off in a big way. These new characters and storylines will attract new audiences while keeping longtime fans intrigued. So what do you guys think? Are you excited for the future of Marvel? Comment that down below. Also drop a like if you're hyped for 2025. And of course, consider joining our community to suggest future video ideas and consider subscribing to see more videos like this one. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.